Hey, what's going on guys? It's Delvage, and today I want to bring you a Photoshop tutorial on how to create YouTube thumbnails like FaZe Clan or like Red Reserve. These are certain ways of creating thumbnails that really make the text stand out and really attract the viewer's attention. I'm going to be showing you some of the layer styles that I use to make my thumbnails and the specific font that they use, which is Longshot, but I'll get into that in a little bit. So I'm going to throw up some images on the screen for you right now. These are some of the thumbnails that I've made previously. As you can see, they're very similar style to FaZe Clan and the Red Reserve thumbnails. Of course, I do have my own specific twist that I put on them. That's just kind of my unique style. I don't copy them exactly, but they do still look somewhat similar. I'm going to show you how to not replicate exactly, but create a similar style to what you're seeing on screen right now. And this can be used for any type of text. You can put basically whatever you'd want, and you can design it however you'd like. This is just going to be a quick little template of what I do if I were to create a FaZe Clan or Red Reserve type thumbnail. So without further ado, let's begin. I'm going to say right off the bat, you want to go to File, New, and then I have a preset for thumbnail, which is 1280 by 720 pixels, and you can just copy the rest of the settings here on screen. I've already done that, so I'm going to click cancel, and I have some things already put into this document because it's, just to conserve time. Real quick, you want to have a background. This can be from any game that you want, COD Ghosts, Black Ops 2, Advanced Warfare, whatever it may be. It's the background of your thumbnail, very important. Next, I have this little thing that I brought over from my pack called glows. These are just some glows that will give the thumbnail a little bit of extra flair or color. I'll get into that in a little bit. You have your gun, which is, I'm going to be using the intervention in this thumbnail. And then I'm going to have my FaZe logo, which is going to be a stock for a bunch of little different designs that I'm going to be putting into the thumbnail near or towards the end, I should say. And then over at the top we have our color correction. Now, you don't have to use color correction. I personally like to use it just because I think it makes everything look a little bit better. Now, if you want this specific color correction, I might release a pack with it sometime soon, although I'm not sure, over on my Selfie store. And you can also purchase some thumbnail templates from me, the PSDs for them, over at selfie.com. If you don't feel like making these yourself, you can always purchase them over at my website for $5, and you can customize that thumbnail to whatever you'd like with that exact style. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So the first thing that I normally like to do is turn my color correction and glows on. This will create a nice little black and white effect on the background of the thumbnail. And depending on what color I'd like to choose for the thumbnail, I'm going to go into my glows, and I'm going to choose, let's go with red for this one. And we're going to click Control and T at the same time to transform the glow and move it up a little bit so it covers more of the space of the thumbnail. As you can see, it gives it a little bit of glow, and it looks pretty nice, but we're not done yet, not nearly done yet. Next, we are going to be adding the text. Now, the text is probably the most important part of your thumbnail because it's what gets the viewer's attention. It's what makes the thumbnail pop out. It tells the viewer what's going to be in the video, so you want to make the text easy to read and also look pretty sick. So let's go over to our type tool right here, and this is the big one. A lot of people don't know what the font that Red Reserve and FaZe Clan and all these sniping teams are using for their thumbnails lately, and it's actually called Longshot, and it's a free font. You can download it on dafont.net, I believe. That's the website. I could be wrong, but it's a free font. It's called Longshot. You can see it here at the top left hand corner of my screen, and it's what I use for most of my thumbnails, and it's a very good looking font, and I do recommend you to use it. It stands out and it looks pretty sick. So let's begin here. Just click, and it usually does this for whatever reason. Just try to redo that. Alright, so let's click, and it starts with a type. I'm going to go to my character options here on the right, and I'm going to change my line spacing to 10 because it just looks better. So let's do that real quick. There we go. And let's type. So whatever your title may be, it's going to vary from different thumbnail to different thumbnail. I'm going to just do a basic clip of the week thumbnail, And if you don't know what that is, it's just basically like a thumbnail that is a clip of the week thumbnail. I mean, that's basically all I can say about it. It's going to be a very simple design. I'm not going to be putting too much time and effort into this one. I just want to get the point across, but it's still going to look very nice. So let's start without continuing to talk for no reason. Clip, little caps lock, because it always looks better in uppercase font for whatever reason. Clip of the, and that's finished. The clip of the part, and control transform, and let's make this a little bit bigger. And let's duplicate this by pressing Control J. And let's move the other layer down. Go back to our type tool, select the entire layer, press backspace, and weak. We'll put weak. There we go. Now I'm going to make the clip of the part a bit smaller because I want it to match up with the top of the week. So let's make this guy a little bit bigger. And again, you can just play around with this, put it to whatever you'd like. I'm just going to make a very simple one that's easy to read, easy to understand. Now, this doesn't really have to be perfect the way that it's aligned, but it does add a little bit of eccentric feel, a bit more professionalism, although it's not going to be very visible, and the average person isn't going to give a shit if it's off by 2 pixels. So anyways, that's the basic premise of the thumbnail right there, is the text. Now we gotta add some effects to it to make it look really good. Now generally, this is just my style though. I like to make the biggest letter, or not the biggest letter, the biggest text or the biggest word the most easiest, or not the most easiest, the easiest to see. I can't even talk. I don't know what's wrong with me today. The most visible. Okay, we'll put it like that. So usually what you want to do for that, especially if you're having a color background, you want to have it set to like a white offset gradient like I have right here. This is a custom gradient. You can look here. This is basically what I use for white text. It's just a gradient that makes it look a whole lot better. So click OK. We're going to add a whole lot of effects, but first we have to rasterize the text layer. But first we'll get onto the clip of the part, and we'll add a gradient to this too. Now depending on what color you chose for your background or your theme of your thumbnail, this is going to change. I chose a red, so I'm going to go with a red. I'll go with this red, it looks a bit better. There we go. And that's it. So now we have our text and the colors set properly. And real quick, before I do anything, I'm going to duplicate these 2 layers and make a group out of them. And this is just in case we mess up with the text. We always have something to go back to, so we don't have to recreate it from scratch. I always like to do this in my thumbnails. So yeah, we have that. Next, we are going to rasterize layer style on both of these layers and merge them. And this is going to put the clip of the and the week into one layer, so it's going to be very easy to edit the layer styles with both of them. So yeah, now we have that. This is the big part. This is what really makes the text stand out. You want to add an outer glow and turn up the size, and this is really what adds the definition of the text. What makes it stand out, what makes it pop, is the outer glow. Okay, so we added the outer glow. I'm going to set it to 40 and leave everything the same. Click OK, and right click, click rasterize layer style, double click again, go back to outer glow, change your size back to 40. If I can get it properly, just type it in, and then change your opacity to about 60. There you go, and there we have it. Rasterize it one more time. You don't have to do this 3 times. 2 times usually does the job, but I'm going to do it 3 times just because. Again, change your size this time to about 100, and change your opacity to about 20. There you go. And there you can see it has the text. That's the main premise of it. And this is another big thing you can do too to make it look a little bit better. You can press Control T on the text layer, and you can go to perspective and drag up on the top left to make it look like it's kind of coming into the image. It makes it look a little bit cooler, but that's just an option. I'm going to add it because why not, and distort it a little bit, make it seem a little bit wider, and center it a little bit on the left side of the thumbnail. So there we go, we have the text. Now it is really up to personal preference. We have the main text down. That's the the real part of the thumbnail that gets a lot of people. The next few parts are really simple, but it's hard to make it look good, if that makes any sense. The next part is basically adding a bunch of effects to the background. One thing that I mainly like to do with all my thumbnails is I like to create a layer right above the background, go to my brush tool, set the hardness all the way down and the size to about, well, actually a little bit bigger, somewhere around here should be fine. And I like to go around the edge of the thumbnail with black, just like this. And then when I finish that, I double click on the flow layer that I just made and change the opacity to about 70, and it makes it look a little bit better in my opinion. Okay, so now that we have that, we have the gun. This is another main part that you want to always have in your thumbnail for at least sniping team thumbnail things, or whatever you want to call it. And usually you want to have this behind the text because, again, you want the text to really stand out. Sorry if my voice is a little bit weird, I'm just not feeling 100% right now, but so yeah, so you have your gun image that you pulled. It could be, again, the intervention from MW2, the MSR from MW3, it could be whatever you want. But once you have your gun, you're going to want to, oh, looks like I added it in color correction. Just take that out real easy. Once you have your gun, you want to use your magic wand tool to delete the background. If you don't have a solid black background, you're going to want to use the pen tool to delete that background. It's a bit more difficult, a bit more time consuming, but if you really want a different kind of gun image other than the regular one from Google, that's what you're going to want to do. So just select the magic wand tool, select all the black on your gun image and delete it. Real simple. My tolerance was at 9. You could probably put it even less and it would still work. Okay, so now we have our gun. We're going to actually increase the size by a decent amount here. Make it look good. And drag it to the bottom. And add a little bit of rotation to it so it's kind of like coming into the thumbnail. Always looks nice. Oh, undo that. Damn it, it looks like I have to redo that. It's a bit tricky sometimes to make it look like the way you want, but once you have it, it looks great. Okay, so now we have the intervention gun inside the thumbnail. We're going to drag this behind the text because, again, we want the text to be the forefront of the thumbnail. And let's move the text a little bit more to the left so it gets more of the gun into view. Now you can basically add whatever kind of effect you want to the gun. Some things that I like to add are outer glow, inner glow, all that stuff. I'm going to play around with it because it sometimes takes me a little bit of time to get it right. I'm going to jump back to when I finish all of the effects on the gun, and I'll see you very shortly. Okay guys, so I have finished all of the effects on the gun, and as you can see, the gun definitely looks cool, but the background of the thumbnail looks a little bit different. And that's because I went ahead and I dragged some textures and some effects from my pack that I use for thumbnails into this thumbnail right here, and I'll get into that right now. So first of all, we have a bunch of textures. This is a really cool shine down stock that I have. I didn't create this, but I found it in one of the packs that I downloaded a long time ago, and it looks pretty sick. So we're going to put that on the blend mode. We're going to double click and change the blend mode from normal to overlay, and the opacity down to about 70. And you won't see the effect right away because there's other layers on top of it at the moment. But next we have the starburst, and this is a really big one that a lot of the red reserve thumbnails actually have. And they have a really strong starburst going into the gun if you look at the top right of their thumbnails. That's what they have a lot. I'm not going to duplicate it like that in this thumbnail that I'm making right now, but I'm still going to add a bit of a subtle starburst, and it kind of adds to the value of the thumbnail, makes it look a little bit cooler. So we're going to double click on the starburst, again change the blend mode to overlay, and tone down the opacity to about 60%. After we finish that, we're going to go to our eraser tool, make the brush a little bit bigger, make sure the hardness is at 0%, and we're going to erase on the left side of the screen, so it only has the starburst effect on the right side of the screen going into the gun. And I'm actually going to change the opacity to about 75. Makes it stand out a little bit more. Okay, so now we have that. This is next texture that I added, or effect, is a rain texture. And that kind of adds a little bit of, it just adds this really cool rain effect to the background. I like to use it sometimes in my thumbnails. I don't use it all the time, but every once in a while to spice it up a little bit, I like to add it in. Next is a dirty screen effect from Rated 60,000 Subscribers pack. And I use a lot of his stuff from his packs because they're really good, and I enjoy using them. They make stuff look cool, so why not? This is just a simple dirty screen effect, adds a little bit of debris to the screen. And next we have a flare, and I'm actually going to move this above the glow so it stands out even more. And I'm going to move this to the bottom of the text, adds a little bit of extra saturation underneath the text, makes it pop out a little bit more. And I'm going to go into the glows, and again, you're going to have to change some things in the middle of making your thumbnail to make it look better. This is what I'm going to be doing right now. I'm going to actually go into my glows and change the red and move it up a little bit, so it makes it look a little bit better. So there you have it right there. I'm going to add one more thing. I'm going to go into my ultimate pack right here, and I'm going to go into my debris and add this little guy right here. And this is just a debris, adds a little bit of cool effect to it. Go to blend mode and the layer style, my bad, and tone down the opacity to about 30. Yeah, we'll go 40. Color overlay red, because red is the theme of this thumbnail that I'm using right now. Change that to 100, and you can move that wherever you'd like. I'm going to move it to the bottom because it looks a little bit better at the bottom in my opinion. And so we have that right there, and I'm going to erase a little bit at the top. Next, I am going to add some brush effects, and these are brushes that you can download off the internet. I'm not going to tell you how to get these brushes, but they're fairly simple to find, and they add some cool effects. I'm trying to find the one that I'm thinking of right now. They look like these dots coming from the side or the top and the bottom of the screen. It may take me a little while to find it, but I will eventually. Where are you? Come on. Okay, I know I'm getting close. Okay, so we found it, and this is the brush that I'm talking about right here, and we're gonna change the size of it, make it a little bit smaller, and actually add that effect above the glow, and change the color to red. There we go. Add that effect at the top. Actually make it a little bit bigger, why not? Add that effect to the top, and go back to our brush and change the effect and find the bottom right one and add that effect there. There we go. So now we go to the layer style tab, and we're going to change the blend mode to overlay, and it gives that cool little dotted effect on the top and bottom left hand corners of the thumbnail. You've had all of your brush effects applied to your thumbnail. The last part, or the last main part I should say, of the thumbnail, there's never a last part of the thumbnail. You can always add more stuff to make it look cooler, but the last main part I want to get at in this video is the FaZe logos. Now if you don't know what these are just adding a little bit of eccentric value to the thumbnail, making it a little bit more brand worthy to the FaZe clan and Red Reserve for the thumbnail. You can see right here, there's the FaZe logo right here, and what they do is, or whoever designs the thumbnails, they just scatter them all over the thumbnail and make them big, small, change up the size, and we're just going to duplicate them and do exactly like that. So just change the size, rotate them a little bit, and just play around with that. I'm going to skip until I finish with this because it does take a little bit of time, so I'll see you in a second. Okay guys, so we've scattered a bunch of FaZe logos around our thumbnail, and again, you can use this for your logo even if you wanted. If you have a logo, you could scatter it all around the thumbnail, adds a little bit of branding value to it. Again, this is completely random and it takes a little while to find an effect that you really like, so that's why I skipped to this part of the video, and this is basically the end of the video. Again, I'd probably add a lot more effects if I were actually making a thumbnail for Red or FaZe, but at the same time I want to make this video as short as possible because I don't want people to be sitting here for like 50 minutes watching a thumbnail tutorial. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit that like rating, and make sure to leave a comment telling me your thoughts and opinions. If you'd like to buy some thumbnails for me, I have a store, sellfi.com/delvage. If you'd like to purchase some pre-made thumbnails, you can go right ahead and do so. But yeah, that's it guys. Hope you enjoyed this quick little tutorial. If you did, again, make sure to leave a like rating, it really does help. My name's Delvage, and I'm out. Peace.